Welcome, everyone. This is now being streamed. So, really happy that everyone can join us this morning. And we'll start off today. And the conversation we're going to have today and the topic we're going to begin, I'm going to talk about the development of trust. There's a section in the course that talks about the development of trust. And, the cool thing is, um, I'm actually going to be doing multiple talks today on social media, on creating clarity. So I'm joining a couple different podcasts, and all of it comes around trust. It's so funny. The word trust actually lands in both of my presentations. So, of course, we're going to begin by opening this call with uh, a a day from A Year of Miracles with Marion Williamson. And of course, flipping open to a random page, we have day 217. Love can be trusted. Without love, I am insane. So, how funny is that? There is no accidents. So there's just really no accidents that happens around this. There's no accidents that you're on this call, no accidents that you're tuning in anywhere. The invitation is to allow the message to come to you. See, words will come out of my mouth, but something else may come to you. Images, thoughts, downloads may come to you completely unrelated to what I'm saying. But words, see, what we want to look for is the words beyond the words. Okay, the words behind the words, the message behind whatever is happening here. And so that we can experience moments of clarity and moments of trust. Last week we ended with I remember we talked about what a miracle is, right? A miracle is simply us getting to experience God's perspective of this world. That's a miracle. Miracles happen every day, and every day should be devoted to having miracles happen around us. See, at this point in my life, when miracles happen, I love it. I'm excited about it, but I'm not remotely surprised. When people tell me like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this happened." Like I got a text yesterday because part of our course, our other course called the Clarity Catalyst, we match people up, we match partners up, buddies up, and she's like, "Oh my god, Alex, I don't know how you chose this person, but it's week 1. It's the first call that I had, and the synergy from that call was insane. And I think we found like something that's matching for us." And I'm like, "Yep. Did I choose it? I know I didn't choose it. I might have put the names together, but I didn't choose it." So the topic today is going to be development of trust. So I hope opening that conversation right there um might give just a little bit of an insight of the intention of what it is that I will try to communicate this morning. And we will teach it, we will do it through the principles and the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And hey, Jada, welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you here too. So let's begin this morning with day 217 from Marion Williamson's book, A Year of Miracles. So open your hearts, open your mind, allow yourself to just relax a little bit more into whatever you're doing. You could be driving and you can relax your shoulders a little more. You could be sitting, doing anything, and you can just relax into this moment a little bit more. Trust that this moment is perfect. Love makes all things right. By aligning mortal events with the natural patterns of an international and creative universe, love is my sanity. It does not lead me into unreasonable or immoderate behavior. It is the guidance system for a wise and peaceful life. The thinking of the world would lead me to believe that the ways of love are often ways of weakness, while the ways of fear are often more strength. Never has a more insane perspective taken hold of the human mind. I shall not be lured into the thinking of darkness, but rather I will cleave to love today. Dear God, when the world will lay its lies upon me and tempt me to perceive without love, May your angels guard my mind and keep me firmly in your light. Amen. And one of the lines in here that says that love is my sanity, and that oftentimes in the thinking of the world, it would lead me to believe that the ways of love are often ways of weakness, while ways of fear are ways of strength. So, where can that be related into your life? Where do you feel like showing compassion, showing kindness, showing understanding, giving a second chance, a third chance, fourth chance, fifth chance is a sign of weakness? It's a sign of I'm a doormat that somebody can walk all over me. When showing love and compassion really is strength. But in that scenario, in the thinking of the world, this doubt comes in, this uncertainty comes in. Those are all thoughts of fear, and all those thoughts of fear lead us to more of the same. Um, I had a really, really vivid dream last night, and I feel like I have to share it, and it's crazy. Um, so my wife, she loves our dog, but she doesn't a lot of times. She just like, when my dog sheds all over the place, she just gets upset, and then she gets upset at my dog. So I had a dream last night. Okay, and this is really interesting because a dream feels really real. And when I woke up, I was kind of upset at her. And it's funny. Like I laughed immediately because, I knew it was a dream. Now the Course says that this world that we're living in is also a dream. And that the rest, the true rest that we're looking for is not in sleep, but in awakening. So if you ever feel tired, exhausted, frustrated, and you're like, man, I'm just tired all the time, tired of life, right? Because life will continue to life and push you. And we shared last week about lessons, right? That the world will continue to give you lessons, and um you have to shift your relationship to these triggers, to the lessons, and to recognize them as that it isn't something doing to you. And these lessons will continue to show up in your life in one form or another until it is learned. And so, until you recognize what those things actually are, and when I say those things, I mean situations, things that are happening in your life, people that are in your life, until you realize what they really are, they will continue to come back and trigger you and push you. And what we're pointing to, actually, we're going to be pointing to what forgiveness really is. But before we get there, until you recognize these lessons, it will come back in different forms. If you have jealousy, if jealousy is your thing, just because you find a different partner, it will show up again. Because everywhere you go, there you are. And until you recognize that that's the case, that it's not anything outside of you, it isn't other people, it isn't the environment, it isn't anything that is dictating your state of mind and your level of peace and your trust, it will always come back because it will follow you. And the sooner we recognize that the problem isn't outside, the problem is inside, the sooner we can begin to forgive. And when we say forgive, we don't mean forgive as the world would have it, which is it's still you, someone doing something to me, but I forgive you. See, that's just the ego's clever way of going back around it, saying, yeah, Okay, I dig your forgiveness and your love, but you know what? It's still their fault. Let's make this character, this identity of Alex, be even more solidified in that you are the hero of your own life and you forgive somebody because you're just more charitable and better. And that's what the ego is really doing, but we don't recognize it. We're like, I'm great. I forgave you. And then later on, because I didn't truly forgive, I bring it back as a weapon. I weaponize my forgiveness to attack this person again because I didn't really forgive. Forgiveness is to give as before. As before, whatever story that you made up about what happened, to give as before. And we talked about the different levels of teachers last week, right? That some people are in your life to give you unlimited amount of learning opportunities. And that's what they all are until you recognize every person, every situation is a learning device, is an opportunity to learn. That is the forgiveness that the course is talking about. To see things and to see people correctly with the right perspective, that they are teachers, and that you and this situation or you and this person are coming together in the dance around a teaching situation, a learning situation. Nobody's the nobody's the teacher, nobody's the student, and both are the teacher and both are the student. At any given moment, the position and the role switches because it is a circle, it is a dance, right? So, like in my mind right now, a picture, like just picture you and somebody that you're upset with, that you have in your mind that triggers you. And then there's a teaching moment, there's a fire in the middle. On this side of the fire is teacher, on this side of the fire, on the other side of the fire is student, and you guys are simply going in circles around it. That's the right way, the correct way to see people and situations. And the course says when we recognize that, we return everything back to a state of innocence. Because there is no character identity that I placed on somebody, that they're the teacher. In this moment, while we're here on this call, it may seem like I'm teaching something, but I'm really not. I'm over here. There is a teaching that is happening and there is a learning that's happening. And trust me, as I speak, as things are coming to me, I am learning and teaching at the same time. And what the course really is pointing to is, and Alex, I'm going to get to you in a second. Let me just finish my train of thought. My train of thought seems to be going on forever, but it brings duality to oneness. It brings scarcity and abundance to oneness. It brings teacher, student to oneness. It brings giving and receiving to oneness. When we recognize oneness in any situation at any time in our life, clarity comes to our mind. Doubt and uncertainty comes when the idea of separation, when we entertain that there is something separate, that this person could be out to get me, that this person's interest is somehow apart from mine. Remember, to be a teacher of God, you don't need any criteria. You just have to choose so. And the only thing that you have to choose is that you are consciously choosing right now in this moment that my brothers and I and my sisters and I out there in the world, our interests are not apart. That is the only requirement for you to be a teacher of God, an ambassador of love, an extension of light. Can you remember that every morning? Can you remember every moment that you are either a contribution to the healing of the world, which means you are either a contribution to remembering the collective as one, or you have forgotten why you came here? And we forget in different moments, right? We forget. We think that people are out to get us. We think that their interest is different from ours. We think that they broke our hearts. We think that we lost their trust or they lost our trust. Those are moments of separations, and they create uncertainty, they create doubt. And when we lose faith and when we lose doubt in our brothers and sisters, we actually, in those moments, disconnect from God, disconnect from source. And my last train of thought right here, and I'll stop right here for a minute, is that our goal isn't to find the answer. Our goal is to open up the channel that the answers come from. Our only problem, and I'm going to say our only problem so many times, and it'll seem like a bunch of different problems, but our only problem in this moment now is that our channel is blocked. Our channel is blocked with unloving thoughts, and unloving thoughts, because it's blocking the channel to source or the channel to God or the universal intelligence, we now count on ourselves. We make decisions ourselves, we judge ourselves, and from that place, we have put ourselves in a position where we don't know how to feel. But the ego says, "Don't worry, I got you." And all the ego is going to lead you down to is more chaos, more confusion, more conflict, more of, oh my God. One sec. Somebody requested. Oh, okay, Letty. Thank you for joining, though. My dear sister from Peru that I met, that is in my heart and I love so much, is on this call with us, and she requested to join live on my Instagram. So, is that a yes? Are you trying to join? I would love to have you on here. Sorry, I'm distracted for a moment. Oh, hey. Oh my God, how are you doing? I miss you. I miss you. Thank you so much for all that you share. Yeah. How are you doing? How's your dad? It's good. Yeah, I know. It's like 80-year-old man, so I'm doing my best to give him a good life quality and take care of his needs, and yeah, put him all pent up here. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, so much love and blessings and everything to you and your family and your dad, and just wishing you so much peace, and so much love. It's so good to see your face. Yeah, you too. Thank you for the work you do. Okay. Yes. And we still get to connect offline too. And Brother B's here. Look at this. You join and all of a sudden all the families coming on. God is good. Okay. Let me continue my train of thought for a second here. But it's really good to see you, Letty. I love you so much, and thank you for hopping on. I love you too. Yeah. I keep hearing you here. Okay, good. All right. So Alex, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to share real quick. Go ahead, brother. Oh, what a blessing this morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, blessings everywhere. Good morning. So I just wanted to share real quick because it seems very relevant and possibly helpful to whoever's on the call of a miracle that recently happened to me. Um, about a week ago, my girlfriend, who I had moved in with and got a place with, I found out that she was cheating on me with my best friend. And what happened in that moment was a lot of, at first, hatred, blame, judgment, guilt, and shame, um, not only for them, but for myself, thinking about how could I let this happen? How could I not have the discernment? Why did I let people like this in my life? And I was carrying around this unhealthy righteousness with me. And I saw how I was basically crucifying myself with this self-hatred and judgment that I was just projecting onto them because I felt it for myself as well. And uh, there's this moment when I was sitting down with, my now ex-girlfriend, and instead of just projecting that and continuing just crucifying myself and everyone involved, I just asked Holy Spirit, please interpret this lesson for me because I know there's a lesson here. And I know that's why this is happening. So please don't let my own interpretations get in the way of seeing very clearly why this is happening, and just learn this lesson for me, Holy Spirit. And in that moment, what happened was literally, if you read chapter 17, is the holy relationship, like just the instant, the moment of seeing myself and everyone involved as just a child of God. And that actually no one did anything wrong. There are wrong actions, but there's no wrong people. And from that place, I just had immense peace and this forgiveness. And it wasn't really like, as you know, it wasn't me doing the forgiving, it was Holy Spirit. I just got out of my own way. And ever since then, man, it feels like it's been months, but it's only been a week, and I just wanted to share that forgiveness is a choice. It's not something that's going to happen to you whenever the time is right. You have to take that step. And then, obviously, Holy Spirit, God, is going to take the rest of the step for you, but you do have to initiate it. And it can be very painful, but you just got to get out of your own way. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say now.
Yeah. Thank you, brother, for sharing. And, these types of things do happen, right? They do happen, and it's not anybody's fault, really. Now, if we aren't, you've been practicing A Course in Miracles and these things for a while. When we do these practices, when we're on these calls, this is practice time. This is where we practice. This is where we remind ourselves who we are. We remind ourselves who each other is. And we practice deep forgiveness while things are, are manageable. See, if we try to practice the teachings of A Course in Miracles, like our first time practicing, and it's a live event like what you went through, it, it'll still work, but it's going to be way more challenging. Now you've been practicing, you've been reminded what peace is, you've been reminded what an innocent child of God is, and you can apply it to real life situation. Now, I'm not going to say that it's hard, but I'm also not going to say that he's bypassing anything, right? Because it's a choice. Every moment it's a choice. Do you want peace, or do you want to be right about something? He could choose all day to be right about something. And all that's going to do is he's going to blame her. Then eventually he's going to blame himself. Then he's going to go back and forth. And that is not what the purpose of what happened is. What happened is a teaching opportunity, a learning opportunity, a teaching device was created between the parties that were involved. And you never know what the blessings and the miracles are right around the corner if we're just willing to see what is the plan actually for us. And this will lead perfectly into the development of trust. But I do want to say one more thing is last week we ended with if and this is a funny conversation because I used to get into fights with people about it, but I don't anymore. But whether we should be eating meat or not, right? Lenka brought this up at the end of the last call last week, is like, I don't know. I love animals so much. And then when we eat meat, I just feel so guilty. I'm like, well, if you eat meat like that, you're only digesting guilt into your system, right? Now, I used to get into arguments about this. I used to say things like, people that don't eat meat are kinder and more compassionate. If that's not the furthest thing away from the truth and the projection of my own judgment, I don't know what is. But that's a great example, and also an example of our ego's righteousness. Because here's what the Course teaches you. In the world, something looks like it's happening. So remember, we were referring back to the dream. But in reality, with a capital R, nothing's actually happened. The forgiveness to give as before is to recognize nothing actually is happening. It's our judgment. We make things bigger and smaller. And usually, when more money is involved, when more love or specialness is involved, it becomes more important to us. Right? We have and take this in as much loving way as possible, but we have levels of judgment in our mind about death, about murder, about killing. You kill another person, oh, judgment. It's all the way up here, right? Because whatever excuses we make that human beings are superior to everything else. We kill a human, a third of the population, an animal, a third of the population gets upset. And as you go further down, you kill. Okay, here's one. You kill a fish. People are like, whatever. Go fish and hunt all you want. And then you go and spear and hunt down dolphins. Now people got an issue with it. Right? So what do we make? And then what about spiders? What about insects? It requires the ego's judgment of deciding what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. But see, in reality with a capital R, none of those things are apart from each other. A spider, as much as I don't like spiders, a spider and me are not separate in our function to the world. To the completion and the miracles of this world, our function, and we are not separate. Now, how far can you bring that to the reminder of your mind? That picture to the reminder of your mind. And oftentimes, this is why going to nature is a great thing, because nature shows us miracles all the time. This is why on all of my Facebook and Instagram videos, animal things show up. Okay, yesterday, awesome post that I saw, and it makes me feel so good, and it lets me see the miracles of the world. A baby puppy and a baby tiger in South Africa are best friends. And then also I shared last week. I'm always going to share one of these things, but a tiger shark, furiously pushing a sea turtle towards a boat. The boat is moving, and the shark is pushing this turtle. And I don't know, maybe you can find this online, but a tiger shark that normally eats sea turtles, is pushing this turtle towards the boat. And then finally they stop. The shark pushes it up to the back and then leaves. And they pull the turtle out of the boat, and its neck is completely like wrapped in this net, and it's like choking to death. When they cut it off, you can see the blood restriction that was on in that turtle. I don't know. That's a miracle to me, because in my mind, I see sharks going after, especially tiger sharks, going after and eating sea turtles all the time. And these animals coming up to humans looking for help in the ocean. Like, how do they know that humans will help? It's insane. There's just miracles. And it's not that to God, it's not a miracle. It's like, here, this is what is happening. To us, I'm like, oh my God, it's a miracle. But miracles can be anything. Because it's all miracles is bringing the darkness of our mind an interruption to our loveless thoughts, our separate thoughts. Miracles join things together and help us recognize. And in that, we recognize the beauty in humans. We recognize all the beauty in the good things. There's a video that I showed a couple weeks ago that talks about the way you perceive something changes the way that the thing you perceive behaves. The way that you perceive something, and quantum physics says this, that objects change based on the way that it is being witnessed at a cellular level. We can't even control it. We don't know how it works, but basically it leads to that there's there's a cord, an invisible frequency, a cord that connects everyone and everything. That people, kids, they match the intelligence of how the teachers encourage them. And this week, my conversation with my wife has been this. We talk about this all the time. We don't have kids yet, but we talk about how we relate to each other and how we will teach our kids is always encourage. Always encourage, never criticize. Or do your best not to criticize. Right? But when you encourage somebody, right? And here's a perfect example. So she's been, she was in the gym, and we were literally talking about our trainers and us and how encouragement works better than, like beating up on somebody, telling them they suck or, whatever. So she's at the gym, she's working out, and she had a great time at this workout. And she's like, yeah, it was awesome. And I'm like, oh, what happened? Well, what did the conversation look like between you and the trainer? And she's like, she said, I'm really strong. And she hasn't been really in the gym or anything and like working out, and she doesn't really think she's very strong. But then all of a sudden she thinks she's really strong. See, words manifest, words make a difference. I'm like, oh, look, I guess encouragement does work. And she had an aha moment because we've been talking about it all week, and she still thinks that, sometimes you got to be hard. It's not about encouragement, right? Because we've been going to Grant Cardone's conference for like 2 years, and he has a saying that's like, don't be a little bitch. And it's great. I usually wear a wristband, a little band thing around my hand that says, don't be a little bitch. I have a t-shirt that says, don't be a little bitch. It's for me, obviously. There are moments where I'm afraid to rise to the occasion, and it's awesome to see, don't be a little bitch. It's a good reminder. But when we're in the gym and I'm working out, and yes, I complain whenever we do leg days, okay? When we get to leg days, I do complain. And I complain so much that the day before doing leg days, my lower back starts hurting. Today is chest day and biceps. My back does not hurt. I'm excited to go to the gym. Everything is mental. And I just laugh at myself. Now, I can't help myself. I just don't like leg days. So I'm trying to get myself there. But her in the gym telling me, don't be a little bitch, that is not an encouragement that supports me excited. Now, she did change it up. And she was like, oh my God, your butt feels so tight. She's like, you got a butt. Like, grabs my butt. And I'm like, I got a butt. And the next workout that I'm doing, literally, I didn't feel my back pain. And I'm like, all right, well, we've been having this conversation all week. And yeah, I'm sharing a lot here. This is what I do on this call. I just share all sorts of stuff. My wife, we have conversations about what I share on ACIM all the time. She's okay with it. I never paint her in a bad light or anything. It's teaching opportunities, right? I don't have any energies on it. I mean, maybe I do. I don't know. We'll see when the next time something comes up when she's not encouraging. Let's see how righteous I'm going to be. But this is the point. The point is to always recognize that there is a learning moment. There's a moment for us to remember what we are doing here. Every single one of us is given a portion of the garden to tend to. Every single garden teaches love. That is the only function of it. But you get to tend to this unique section, which is part of the whole section, but this is your section. That's all you got to focus on. Your journey, your life, your ability to remember the light in you. That which is not given over to the light will be snatched by darkness. Now, darkness is an illusion. As soon as you turn the light on, darkness disappears. You don't need to turn darkness into light yourself and then give it over to spirit. Spirit is the light switch. All you have to do is flick it on. You just got to say, hey, I give it to you. And Alex shared this before, alluded to this, which is giving it over to spirit. And our practice on this call is, God, please show me how to look at this differently. And the second part to that, I am willing to look at it differently. Yeah, it's a reminder. Every single call will remind this line because we forget. When we get upset, we're not asking to look at it differently. We're looking to blame something. We're looking to take this guilt and this situation off our hands. Like that works, because it doesn't. The more we try to get it off and we share with more people, we gossip, we talk shit, it just becomes real, more real, and bigger. The more we speak it, right? Speaking it, right? We have an insane thought, the tiny mad idea that enters our mind. We entertain it, then we say, maybe that is real. Maybe it is real that, whatever separation thought that you have, whatever fear thoughts that you have, maybe it's real. Then you speak it out of your mouth. The poison comes out of your mouth and becomes a reality, becomes your reality. You manifest it into reality by speaking into scarcity or speaking into love, but we're talking about, scarce things right now. You have an insecure thought. You have a scarcity thought. We think that if we gossiped it and we told somebody else that it would make it better, but it doesn't, right? I used to make this mistake a lot, and it actually really ended my relationship with one of my exes. Whenever a fight happens, I would go and tell other people so that I can feel right about it. And of course, all of my friends had a certain image of her, and I loved her, and and now everybody has a different image of her because during my time of insecurity, I went and spewed it out and it became a reality. And of course, the separation was going to follow. Right. And I couldn't fix it. There was nothing that I could do. Now, I probably could have forgave and and there's probably a way to bring it all back, and she would feel connected again. But because of that, I created more and more separation and we weren't able to fix things. I wasn't practicing A Course in Miracles in those times. I wasn't clearing things and forgiving things as fast as I'm doing now. Now, of course, I'm still in a meat suit. So forever, as I'm in this meat suit, I will make these mistakes or I will run into these learning opportunities because that's what the body is. The body is a learning device. Now, once you speak it into reality, you have to defend it. See, that situation right there, you got to defend it. You got to be right about it. And you keep entertaining it. You keep defending it. You keep justifying why you say and do the things that you do and that your life, you are a victim of your life. That idea comes and enslaves you. You no longer even have control of it. You have no idea where it is. That's the big monster. The monster has grown. When the monster has grown, the idea, that insane idea has grown, it's harder to give over to spirit. It's harder to give over to spirit. For us, it's not harder for spirit to just like this disappear it because it's still part of an illusion. It just became really real for us. So almost done with my thought, Natalia, and I'll get to you in a sec. I guess I'm done with my thought. Go ahead, Natalia.
What's really funny is that I was going to share something very similar.
Okay, great. Do it.
So I was in ceremony space over the weekend, and what came up for me was this that you were talking into about creating a big monster and feeding that monster and letting it get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what I noticed is that I was doing that with people in my life. And I was, just like you began the call when you said like, oh, I forgive you, and then using that as a weapon to basically feed that monster and allowing the monster to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what came up was very strong, was like, okay, I was able to see that and how I had done it in the teacher-student scenario. So I have a person dear in my heart. And so what I was doing is instead of using I forgive you, I was like, well, but this person doesn't do the dance, the teacher-student dance. She's like has placed herself in the teacher and I'm the student and I can't dance with her. And so I was using that as a weapon. And the more I gave attention to it, the bigger it got, and the bigger the separation that happened. And so, yeah, so kind of like all of that blew up in a really good way, kind of like dissipated, disappeared, and this big lesson of to the person, to the point came up. And it's like, okay, when I have something going on with a person, instead of sharing it, because I'm using the language, the Course in Miracles language, I'm using the forgiveness language, I'm using the conscious language, and nonetheless, I'm doing the same thing. I'm feeding the monster, I'm talking to somebody else about someone else, and the separation just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I realized, had I gone directly to the point, to the person, none of that would have happened. And at the end of the day, I had created the separation because I don't know what she was thinking. I was just creating this story of like, she's not doing the dance with me. She has positioned herself in this place and I can't dance with her. So I don't want anything to do with her. So yeah, that was really powerful. I wanted to share that. And then when I raised my hand, then you started talking about that, and then you started laughing.
Yeah, of course. There's no accidents. Now, here's the thing, and a thought came to me as you were sharing, is when we speak, there's two things ever happening. Just like our thoughts, there's only two things ever happening. It's either the Holy Spirit teaching you or the ego teaching you. When we speak from a place of being a victim to something, we make the monster bigger. But when we speak from a place of my ownership of where I came from, my experience of, or, I am experiencing blank, that ownership comes back to me and we actually heal and dissolve and release that monster. Right? I can say, man, I'm stupid. Or or what I did was stupid, or I'm experiencing stupidity, right? It actually creates a separation of now, not in the way of like separation and people, but it pushes apart and it allows you to insert spirit in between that, right? It's either I am stupid or I am broke, which makes you the I am. Remember, I am being the most powerful words, two words in the whole language in our vocabulary. I am, or you are, right? Um, when we say I am that, it does not give space for something else in between. But when I say I'm experiencing this, there's the experiencing part. Something is happening, and something can be inserted in the middle from where I decide that I am something. Right now, when you declare I am like loving or love and those things, that belongs on the altar. And Elise wants to share something. So I'm going to give you the table, give you the mic. You want to share?
Oh yeah, Alice, what you just said is so correct. It's almost like the Spanish language, right? Spanish language has the I am, soy, I am. That's like the permanent I am. And when they say I'm sick, right? They don't use soy. They use estoy. I am temporary sick. I'm temporary feeling sick, right? So that's that distinction because I am not sickness, right? By English language, you say I am sick. So yeah, I usually, the more we study this, how our words have power, then I get to change that. Say, okay, I am experiencing a little sadness right now, or I am experiencing um, coughing. I have the symptoms of stomach ache or something like that. Stomach ache. Not that I am sick, but we are not sick. We're never sick because we're spirits, right? And another thing that you were talking about, forgiveness, there's a book that's really good. It's from Colin Tipping. It's called Radical Forgiveness. And in there, he has a exercise that you can follow that's really good to actually turn everything around and point it to us. So it's pretty good. It's just like sometimes we might you know we had an experience and we call somebody like, you know, why did she do that to me and all that stuff. But then the thing is that we look at ourselves, it's like being vigilant is good sometimes, right? Because being vigilant is that we are there, we have dominion, we're not gonna let anybody to, mess with us, right? I'm gonna say the F word, but we're not gonna let anybody mess with us. That's that power that comes through on the inside that we're protecting ourselves. And so as I turn around, sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm such a bitch," and then all that stuff. But it's like, okay, on certain circumstances, it is good to be a bitch. So it's like recognize that everything has its opposite of good and then not so good. Sometimes people can say that, oh, let me see what kind of experience, what kind of example I want to make. Okay, somebody who is who is very stubborn, stubborn at something, and it just drives me crazy, like my son is stubborn at something. But then there's also that persistence. If we see it on the opposite side, it's like he's persistent. That means that when he faced trouble, he would be persistent to overcome that, and that's a good quality. So there's a yin and yang, right, in everything, and it's again like what you said, is how we perceive it. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, there's a yin and yang in our mind, like it's separate, but we can see it like stubbornness and persistence is actually looks exactly the same. It's how you choose to see it. And also when you vocalize it to this person, you either empower them or you disempower them. And they will show up either as as rebellious to you, and they will, whichever one you see them as, that's how they will show up for you. And they will actually behave to be evidence of the thoughts, because everything is like it's one, but when you see it in one path, all of that one looks like the other. It looks like stubbornness instead of persistence. But if you see it as persistence and you choose to see it every day, then all the evidence will point to persistence. That's why people will show up based on the way that you view them. There is only one thing ever happening. There's not multiple things. It's not them something happening to them or something happening to me, but it's all part of one world, one thing, one frequency that is moving. And we're simply little particles playing our roles in it. The bigger and the more wholesome of a picture that you can see, and the only way that you can see more is not by putting more information in, is actually to take more information out, to find the right information to connect to that frequency. And all of that lands in trust. So I'm going to take a moment here to go through the development of trust in A Course in Miracles back in the Manual for Teachers. So for those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about, A Course in Miracles is this book. Okay? It's 3 sections. The first section is texts. The second section is the workbook, 365 days of lessons. I'm proud, or not proud, but I'm just going to say that I have never done 365 lessons in 1 year before. Okay, because I just always forget. The best I've done was 365 lessons in 1 year and like 3.5 months. That was the best I've done. So doing a lesson, now I just go through the lessons. Okay, the course, okay, can be any given part of the course is part of the whole. Okay, their healing is exactly the same. Their power is exactly the same. But when you're going through it, the course does say start from the beginning, because there's a gentle way of guiding you to a certain mindset. So the last section where I'm reading from is called the Manual for Teachers, but mostly teachers of A Course in Miracles refer to this as questions that students most likely will have as going through the course. And all of us at some point are students because we forget, and other times are teachers because we teach to learn and we learn to teach. And that's really all that's happening. Okay, we pay more attention when we realize that we're here to learn to teach and we're teaching to learn. Bringing those two things to one, right? Okay, so the development of trust in the back manual for teachers, it starts with phase 1. So I'm going to just read and then we'll explain. Is first, we must go through what might be called a period of undoing. So as I go through this, hopefully on this call, we recognize the different points of trust that's happening. And then maybe you can point back to your life, looking at your life situations, looking at your experience with your partners and your mom, dad, sister, whatever, everyone, okay, coworker. First, we must go through a period, what might be called a period of undoing. This need not be painful, but it usually is so experienced. All right, so Alexander did share something with us. It usually is so experienced. It need not be painful, though. The need of pain is not involved, but oftentimes we do. It seems as things are being taken away, and it is rarely understood initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized. Okay, so when it says the lack of value does not mean that the person has no value. It means your attachment, the value you gave it, does not have the power that you think it does. So it's the value of the need for this person is just being recognized. How can lack of value be perceived unless the perceiver is in a position where he must see things in a different light? Or let's say we're going to change all the he's to we. We are not yet at a point in which we can make a shift entirely internally. And so the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seems to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When the teacher of God has learned that much, we go to the second stage. So basically, the course is calling you all that you're here, your teacher of God. Okay, so recognize which stage you're at certain events and certain things in your life. We cannot process it internally. We cannot learn the lessons internally. So it looks like external things must happen. The changes looks like it's happening external because they're teaching devices. You are unable to do it yourself. You have not given it over to spirit. So external circumstances show up so that you can have a moment of learning. The other thing that the course says that as you're learning lessons, each lesson will come to you. Actually, maybe Marianne Williamson says this. Each lesson will come to you that will affect your life deeper and in a greater way. The same lesson. It will be more money involved. It will be bigger risk involved. It will be more love involved or whatever. All the things just gets bigger and bigger. As you don't learn each lesson, the next time it comes back, it comes bigger, more on the line. But it's only going to be here to serve you, to show you, because Spirit says, hey, you went through that once. You have the capacity to handle something bigger now. Because until something bigger comes, you won't recognize that you need to give it over. You won't ask for my help. So here it is. I'm going to hand you a bigger fish, a bigger situation. So this is the revelation of spirit and God. Okay, the beginning of the development of trust is to recognize that is when a teacher learns that all of these things are actually helpful. We begin to recognize that. Next, the teacher must go through a period of sorting out. So we must go through a period of sorting out. This is always somewhat difficult because having learned that changes in life are always helpful, we must now decide all things on the basis of whether they increase helpfulness or hamper it. So we're like, oh, okay. I believe all things are here to help me. That means we must determine everything across the board if it's going to increase the helpfulness or hamper it. We will find that many, if not most things we valued before will merely hinder our ability to transfer what we've learned to a new situation as it arises. So, as one thing happens, if we still value, the material things, then all that will happen is the lesson gets transferred to something else that you deem having more value for you. because we're trying to learn what is valueless, that is what we think is valuable, which is actually valueless. All right. And not to say don't enjoy and don't have them and don't play with money and don't create financial independence and don't buy a house, buy a nice car, buy a watch, whatever you want to do, buy them, but know that they serve no value in the recognition of your true value, if that makes sense. All right. So Razul, what's up, brother? Welcome. Because we have valued what is really valueless, we will not generalize the lesson for fear of loss and sacrifice. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. So in stage one, we took one situation, we said, okay, it is here to help us. Now we have to evaluate all the things in our life to see whether they are more helpful or they hinder it. And until we begin to recognize that all of these things are here and are helpful, it is only to the extent which they are helpful to any degree of reality should we accord them in this world, should they be accorded in this world of illusions. The word value can apply to nothing else. See, value requires our judgment. So the Course says, don't apply value to anything else, but only recognize whether you recognize the lessons in it. All right, what it's teaching you about what is valuable and valueless. That's the only place to recognize is I'm really perfect, whole, and complete without it. That's the recognition of your value and recognition of the things that you've given value to that doesn't even add to your value. None of those things do. That's the recognizing of the inner self, the perfection that you are, so that you can show up confidently and authentically wherever you go. When you have that core confidence in you, it does not matter what's going on in the world around you. You can't be shaken. Okay. The third stage through which we must learn can be called a period of relinquishment. It is interpreted as giving up the desirable. It will engender enormous conflict. Few of us escape this distress entirely. There is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next step is taken. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be one in which we feel called upon to sacrifice our own best interests on behalf of the truth. We have not recognized yet how wholly impossible such a demand would be. So we're getting to a point, if you're starting to be like, oh, I don't understand this part, it's because there's a part of us that the ego is trying to resist. It's very simple. Sacrifice is not real. We sacrifice illusions. We may sacrifice money. We may sacrifice our time. We may sacrifice our energy, all of that, but it isn't real because you're not actually sacrificing anything. Illusions are nothing. When you sacrifice illusions, you are sacrificing nothing for the truth. You are trading nothing for everything because peace is everything. Peace is what I want. Being right is not what I want. Money isn't what I want. It's the peace that comes with it, or supposedly comes with more money. The recognition of what that is, then money becomes also just a frequency that comes through. It's a currency. It's a current that needs to flow. It is not a current that needs to sit and be stagnant and you hold on to it. I mean, even our world reflects exactly this frequency in this teaching, which is if you keep it somewhere, you keep it right there, you keep $100 bill right there, year after year, that $100 bill it starts to be worth less. Our currency, literally our world, shows us this stagnation. It needs to move. It needs to move. It needs to grow. All right. Okay, off topic for a second here. So we realize how wholly impossible that this demand would be. We can learn this is only we can only learn this as we actually give up the valueless. We recognize what's valuable and what's valueless. Through this, we learn that there we anticipated grief, we find happy lightheartedness instead. Where we thought something was asked of me, that gifts were bestowed upon me instead. Right, so we make up all the things. So this week, actually, part of the course that I'm teaching, the soul work course, Clarity Catalyst, we have this sticky note. If you want to play with it, you can also do this. That those that aren't part of it, but this is one of the things we do is we have sticky notes everywhere that says no expectations. On the background of our phone, it says no expectations. Now, no expectations has already drastically shifted my day, my week. Sometimes I ignore a lot of the DMs that come into my inbox because I'm like, here we go, another person trying to sell me on something, another DM closer, another whatever, right? But this week I'm like, no expectations. I'm just gonna answer it, and I answered it, and I think I might have found somebody that is gonna change the whole game for my business. Actually, 2 people. Yeah, and one of them we're forming a new company with. One of them is now has been on a couple of my calls. And the other is this giant company in India that happens to be able to do everything that we do, but better. All right, cool. I found a giant Nick is what I found. Now comes a period. This is the next period, okay? Now comes a period of settling down. This is a quiet time in which we rest a while in reasonable peace. Now we consolidate our learnings. Now we begin to see the transfer value of what we've learned. Its potential is literally staggering, but we are now at a point in which in our progress at which we see the whole way out. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. Give up righteousness and keep peace, is basically what the line is saying. How simple is the obvious and how easy to do. We need the teacher of God needs this period to respite. I'm trying to change the words from he and teacher of God to we. We have not yet come as far as we think. When we're ready to go on, we go on with mighty companions besides us. Now we rest a while and gather them before going on. From here on out, we will not go on from here alone. And this is the recognition that Spirit and God is with us. We are never alone ever again because we've recognized these things. There is a guiding force that is with us. And that's so now we've developed this trust, right? We think at this point, some other part of the ego enters, and we will talk about it in a second, because we're like, oh yeah, I'm at peace, everything's good. And then the next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. Now we must understand that we did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. See, if we get to a certain point and we don't get to this point again, what we do is we weaponize the things we've learned because the ego will take it. Your peace, your spirituality, your guru-ness, whatever. When people start to follow you, this is why so many spiritual leaders and circles and communities turn into like a cult, and then you always find something with the leader, right? Something happening, they make a mistake and they get crucified. And it's way worse than whatever we think always. It's always some sort of sexual thing that we don't condone in society. Right? We build them up and we knock them back down. Who knows what's true and what's not? The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. We understand that we did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that we really learned so far is that we did not want the valueless and that we wanted the valuable. Yet our own sorting out of meaninglessness in teaching us the difference. The idea of sacrifice, so central to our own thought system, has made it impossible for us to judge. We thought we learned willingness, but now we see that we do not know what willingness is for. And now we must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. We must learn to lay all judgment aside and only ask what we really want in every circumstance. We're not each step in this direction so heavily enforced, it would be hard indeed. So we have to recognize that we cannot even judge. We have to lay judgments aside. Now, that is one of the final things that we do not want to give up. And until we recognize that we must give it up, not because it's better for us, but that we are not capable of it. It is an illusion that we live into. And again, giving up that illusion is giving up nothing. Giving up your judgment, giving up your need to be right is giving up nothing, because it is nothing. It was an illusion that you thought you were able to judge, that you thought you had control of something. We have no control of anything in our life, really. Okay? Will I wake up the next morning? That I don't even have control over. But we do have faith that we will. So we all have faith in us. We just got to practice it and call it out. Finally, there's a period of achievement. Yes, it is here that learning is consolidated. Now, what was seen as merely shadows becomes solid gains to be counted on in all emergencies as well as in tranquil times. So, Alexander went through what the course would call in all emergencies. You have taken this level of peace with you to the emergencies and the tranquil stages of your life. Indeed, the tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought, and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete, and who would seek to change the tranquility for something more desirable. What could be more desirable than this? So that state of bliss, that heaven state, right? Now, nobody's staying there. Okay, these are moment to moment experiences, and we have to choose it, and we have to learn, know the passage, right? Just like in the hero's journey, you have like, oh, an idea comes, you're like, aha, then you hit like a wall, and then it goes into, oh my God, I can't do it. I see this so much in the real estate space. People are like so excited, pay $20,000, join some mastermind, and 90% can't get past the wall, the first roadblock, which is actually commitment of your time to learning. People can't even do it. It's like, well, I was on 2 of the calls and I'm not a millionaire yet. What's going on? Come on, Grant Cardone, right? You charge me $25,000 and I haven't bought an apartment yet in a year. What's going on? Yeah. Instead of blaming outwards, we got to look inwards. What do you need to do when you hit a wall? When you know what's the next step? The next step is you call on allies, you call on friends, you give your time, give yourself some time to think and reflect. You go to the gym, you go on vacation, you do something that allows you to reset, and you call on Marianne Williamson and you read the book, A Year of Miracles, and then you go back at it, right? So from that place, then you have your breakthrough moment. The breakthrough moment. Oh my God, I got on a team. I have an opportunity to be in a deal. It's not the $100 million deal. You're not going to be financially free in year 1. This is work. You gotta grind, because there's a part of your mind that isn't ready for the complete financial freedom. That's why you're not there. That's why the money isn't there. You are training your mind, and constantly, that's why everyone teaches mindset first. There are junk inside your mind that you got to get rid of. This is what the course is telling us too. It's the doubts. It's the I'm not good enough. It's the I can't raise enough money, or I'm not good with numbers, or I have dyslexia, or whatever excuse that you make. All of those things must be removed or put aside from your brain. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good this. I don't look good when I'm on camera. I don't want to do social media. All the things that has you succeed. All right, take care, brother. So moving all those things aside so that you can have the success that belongs to you, the abundance, the infinite money and abundance that belongs to you already. We are merely recognizing what we are, not that we are chasing something that we aren't yet. There's not something to get. There's only something to remember. Okay, so I just went on a super long tangent. What came to mind? What are you guys thinking? Let me see. There's some comments here. Gracia is one of my favorite parts of Manual for Teachers. You rock, you rock out. Always be more helpful. Yeah, awesome. Who else? What else? What do you guys share anything? Ask any questions. Share anything that's on your mind. You know, we just went through a lot and a little at the same time. Alan, go ahead, brother.
Okay, greetings, everybody. And again, I was chatting this morning. I woke up and I felt disconnected from, just from people in a sense. I had a lot of texts in my inbox that I hadn't responded into forever. So I just started going down the list. Hey, good morning. Love you. Hi. Just randomly. And I hit Johan up, and then Johan was like, hey, what you doing today? I said, I'm doing some stuff. He was like, I'm going to be on this call with Alex. And I was like, oh, I haven't been on that call in a while. And how perfect it was, right? Because yesterday I had a person I was dating, and, I was giving my boundaries, and I made a joke, and in that joke, she took it a certain way. And it was an obvious joke to me on my part. And this lesson today was right on for me, like, teaching, opportunities, and also learning opportunities. So again, it's just more of I know why I'm here today, and I'm appreciative of everybody, especially everybody that shared also. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And you're part of that sharing circle too. You're unfolding the teachings and the lessons of this call for us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, yes, like I said, it's been a long time. It's always a blessing to see you here. And what's interesting is I woke up super late. I woke up like 2 minutes before the call. And usually that does not happen. I'm usually up early. And for a second, I was about to be like, since I didn't send out the messages and whatever, I'm just not going to do the call today. And then I was like, all right, Spirit, what would you have me do? And then I just made my way down here. I was like, all right, it's not me. It doesn't matter what I feel like doing or not feel like doing. It's just, I realized today is actually a big day for me. This is a way that I want to start my day. I have multiple speaking engagements that I have to be a part of. And then I'm also teaching a class at the end of the night. And then we're going to, and throughout all this, we're actually, Nick is here. If you guys know Nick, he's the team that works with me. He is so excited. This is the one thing that he wants to do is come to Vegas and eat at the Caesar's Palace buffet. Okay. He's like, this is life. He watched a 30-minute video on the Caesar's buffet. Apparently it's like the biggest in the world or something. There's like 300 menu items. He watched all the menu items on a video. He's like, Alex, we need to fast, and we are not eating until tonight. I'm like, what? He's like, we need to not eat all day, and then we go there and eat until we're pregnant. I'm like, what? He's like, that is life. I'm like, all right, cool. So we are, we are gonna go there. All right. So big full day for me, and I'm not gonna be eating all day. So I'm gonna be drinking a lot of water, and I'll try to contain myself when I go and eat at a buffet. This is not a good thing for me while I'm trying to get into the best shape of my life, So anyways, tangent off. Go ahead, Johan.
knowing that, I just want to thank you for my heart for doing the call today and showing up. I tuned out and I just laid down and I just really integrated a lot of what you said. And I just want to thank you for these calls and also acknowledge Alan for showing up and Alexander for sharing. And Chaz feeling really grounded and centered in who I am and what I'm doing. So just want to acknowledge you and thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you for showing up. When you started showing up, actually, everybody is part of the teaching circle. Certain people show up on these calls, and I know you guys are going to share, and it automatically gives me like a different level of energy. There are people that show up on my lives, and when they just say a couple things, they're like, yes, whatever. And I see that they're still here. It actually gives me, I don't know, it gives me something. And I do this all the time on a call. I feel like, especially the people that have the cameras on too. I feel like a teaching is coming through me because we're together in this space really like closely like that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here and also sharing a part of your journey with us the last couple of weeks. I'm glad that you've been here. And Alan, thank you for stopping by again. It's always good to see you, and much blessings to all the things in your life. Anyone else want to share anything? We got about 8 more minutes to the satsang, the circle of healing, circle of forgiveness. What we speak out, we make reality. So feel free to share anything, anybody. Yeah.
Hey,
Jada.
Lisa.
Lisa, hello.
Hey, how you doing? So first time on the call, getting reconnected to Course in Miracles, and I really appreciate it. So what I want to share is, today I got a ping from a family member, and everything that you were talking about, and for me, the call was a little busy for me because I was incorporating it in my walk, so it was a little tougher and lesson learned. I want to sit down and really be with spirit. But a family member who's never reached out to me, my sister-in-law's son, who's a real estate investor, pinged me to look at a deal, and it made me realize that I've been trying to separate myself from them because there is difficulty, and I've been really pushing that whole side of the family away and creating separateness, and that's painful. I mean, I've been literally creating it consciously. Like, okay, I need to get as far away from them as I possibly can. And the call really, your teachings, some of the lessons really grounded me in, I mean, right now I'm in this whirlwind of boundaries and separateness and love. And right, the lesson is definitely coming in fast and, a lot of lessons. But thanks for this call today. Really great to be back in touch with these teachings and I enjoy the format and all the people that were on here. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for being a yes here. And that's actually a really valuable lesson for us too. There's a lot of us that, there's a teaching that, you got to set your boundaries. Now we take it too far, right? We think everything needs boundaries. It just means when we have boundaries, what is it for is the question, right? Boundaries is temporarily right now. If we are in close vicinity and we communicate in this way, I am not ready for forgiveness in this moment. I am not ready to clear that level of engagement and that level of conversation. It does not mean a boundary that you set forever. We put the wall there and we forgot that the wall needs to come down at some point. But we put it up and we're like, that's my boundary. And now we define, we closed in what is it called? Enclosed love, which is infinite and ever expanding and encompassing of all things. We put a wall up and we're like, wait, love goes up to this wall. That's it. Right. But your breakthrough is right on the other side of it. The point is that this wall is actually on a wheel. Move this wall every time. Move it. Expand it. The capacity of love and our capacity to care and be compassionate. That's the game. Everything is that. It may look like an investment, it may look like a family member, it may look like love, whatever the form looks like. That's not what's happening. What's happening is your capacity to develop trust in your brothers, in your sisters, so that you can clear that channel. The entire goal is to clear our channel to God. God is reflected on everybody else around you. The more you can push your boundaries and take down the wall eventually, right? Because really what's happening behind that wall is an army. You have an army waiting. I'm not going to attack, but I got an army. Right? If you ever say anything to me, my defense is that I will launch my army upon you. And that's the judgments, that's the attacks, that's the words, the poisons that come out of our mouth. Remove the wall, lay down the sword and the shield. Let your army go. There's nothing that can hurt you until you recognize that the walls and the army is unnecessary. It will show up in different ways, and you will have to instead of pushing the boundaries and the capacity of your love out, you start to bring the walls in on yourself, because more and more things begin to look like they're going to hurt you and they're out to get you. And our world, this is why people get so frustrated and tired of this world, because you've enclosed yourself so much with so much judgment and perception of life, that life is hard in that way. Everyone's out to get you. And then you create separation between people around you, and you make the wall smaller and smaller and smaller. And you're like, I'm suffocating. I'm dying. This world is tough. Try in one area of the wall. Be like, let me see. The wall is actually, this is great analogy right here. The wall is on a wheel. And when you push one side out, all of it goes out. It's like that. You know those little things that expand like this? The toys? That's the wall. You made it like this, but you push one side out, the entire thing moves out. Oh man, that's such a great analogy. One sec. I'll go back to my chapter in the book. Right. So I've begun to take down all the analogies that that has been created on this call. Oh, great. Except I have, this remarkable that I thought would help me, have less notebooks. But really now I just have 1,000 folders inside and I can't find anything. So is it under A Course of Miracles or is it under Aha Moments? Oh, wait, now I'm just going to write it on any quick sheet. And now I really get to look for this after. What was that? What did I just say? The slinky thing? I got to find out what that is.
That was it. The slinky toy.
Slinky toy.
Yeah.
Push one side. Expands. Wow. Thanks for opening up this conversation, by the way. See, this is a great clarity moment for me as well. On boundaries.
I don't know if this is what you meant, but there's like it's called an expandable breathing ball that is used for kids yoga, and it expands as you go like this, and it contracts. Like it doesn't have the wheel, but I don't know if that's what you meant.
So those balls, like it's like a ball. Okay, it looks like a ball with little edges and stuff, and it's like a Lego piece looking thing almost. And you pull one side like this, and it just kind of the whole thing expands into a big ball. And then you push it closed from one side, and the whole thing comes back into a little ball. So it's just like, I don't know. I'll find a picture of it. It's cool. I like that. Great job, everybody. We needed to the very last minute to really realize what this entire call is about.
Exactly. That's great.
Awesome. Okay, hopefully when I look back at my notes, I'll understand what I'm saying, because I wrote slinky toy, push one side, it expands boundaries, capacity to love, moving the wall, army. I hope that does not look like good communication to future Alex. Okay. But and it's written in a random page in my remarkable, not where I had all my chapters.
It's all perfect.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll come back again. Remind me next week that we talked about the slinky ball and boundaries. So yeah, amazing, amazing call. Really appreciate everybody here. And again, we will finish with one last reading from day 184 of a year of miracles. And okay, let's see. Oh, we talked about we are one, and then this other side is today I find my calling. Let's go to the on seeing we are one, because that's legitimately what we talked about, literally what we talked about on the call. So day 185. Okay, release everything that we talked about this morning. There's nothing that we've talked about that you don't already know. So take a deep breath in. It's not that complicated. There's not that much going on. And release the need to know and the need to understand all this stuff. We already know. We all recognize the truth within because that is what's given to us. So for reflection on seeing we are one from Marianne Williamson, our needs are not separate because all of us are one. What I think about you, I will think about myself. And what I see in myself, I will see in you. Only by accepting our oneness do we come to see the differences in the light of truth. On the level of spirit, there is no place where you stop and I start. Like waves in the ocean or sunbeams to the sun, there is no real separation. Separation does not actually exist, for there is only one of us here. The thought of separation is the illusion at the core of all problems in the world. As I heal my own thoughts of separation, I contribute to its healing everywhere. Oh, chills all over on seeing we are one. Amen. Aho. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Until next time, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, or any other calls I do throughout the week. Talk soon, everybody. Much blessings. Take care. Take care.
Take care, guys. Big love.
Yeah, good.
Bye, y'all.